Thomas's Frosty Friend. The winter holiday season is a very busy time on the Island of Sodor. Percy has more mail to deliver. Gordon has more visitors aboard his express. And Thomas has very important jobs. One morning, Thomas had to go to Brendam Docks. "I must pick up the logs for Farmer McColl," he puffed. Percy was waiting at the signal when Thomas arrived. He was very excited. "Look what's over there, Thomas," peeped Percy. Thomas looked. The children were excited. "I've never seen such a big snowman." "Neither have I," tooted Thomas happily. The signal changed to green and Thomas steamed away. Suddenly, a strong gust of wind lifted the snowman off the ground, away from the children. The snowman was a snowman balloon. Thomas didn't see the guide ropes catch on his buffers and get caught there. And he didn't know the balloon was now following him. Thomas stopped at the level crossing. Suddenly, the children's snowman was there in front of him. Thomas didn't know a snowman could dance in the air. "What are you doing here, Mr. Snowman?" cried Thomas. Mr. Snowman said nothing. "You must go back to the children," tooted Thomas. "They'll be very sad without you." Thomas raced away from the crossing. "If I puff fast," chuffed Thomas, "Mr. Snowman will never be able to follow me." Thomas arrived at Brendam Docks. James was there delivering coal. "Thomas, what are you doing with that snowman?" he snorted. "Oh, no!" Suddenly, the snowman danced in front of Thomas again. "Mr. Snowman, I told you to go back to the children. Why are you still following me?" Thomas steamed off as quickly as he could. He hoped the snowman wouldn't follow him. "Thomas," called James, "why do you have a giant balloon tied to your buffers?" But Thomas didn't hear him. Farmer McColl was waiting on the platform. Thomas wheeshed to a halt. "Thomas," he exclaimed, "what are you doing with that snowman?" "Oh, no," tooted Thomas. Suddenly the snowman danced in front of Thomas again. "Mr. Snowman, I told you to go back to the children. Why are you still following me?" Farmer McColl didn't understand. And Thomas didn't know how to tell Farmer McColl about his frosty friend. Thomas steamed off as quickly as he could. He hoped the snowman wouldn't follow him. "Thomas," called Farmer McColl, "why do you have a giant balloon tied to your buffers?" But Thomas didn't hear him. Thomas had to stop at the signal at Maithwaite Station. Emily was picking up passengers. Emily could see the snowman bobbing about behind Thomas. "Thomas," laughed Emily, "what are you doing with that snowman?" Suddenly the snowman floated in front of Thomas again. "Mr. Snowman, I told you to go back to the children," cried Thomas. "Why are you still following me?" Thomas steamed off as quickly as he could. He hoped the snowman wouldn't follow him. "Thomas," whistled Emily, "why do you have a giant balloon tied to your buffers?" But Thomas didn't hear her. He didn't know how to make Mr. Snowman go back to the children. Then he had an idea. "I'll hide," puffed Thomas quietly. Thomas chuffed into a lonely siding. He couldn't see the snowman. "I think Mr. Snowman has gone back to the children," Thomas tooted. Suddenly a gust of wind blew hard. Mr. Snowman danced in front of Thomas again. He was still following him. "I must tell the Fat Controller what has happened," cried Thomas. "I need his help." And Thomas raced off. Thomas puffed back into Maithwaite Station. Farmer McColl and the Fat Controller were there. "Please, sir," peeped Thomas, "I don't know what to do. I've tried to tell Mr. Snowman to go back to the children, but he has followed me everywhere." "And he still is," laughed the Fat Controller. "The Snowman is a balloon, Thomas, and he is caught on your buffers. He is following you because you are pulling him." "A balloon," whistled Thomas. "I thought snowmen were always made of snow." Thomas felt very happy. Now he could take Mr. Snowman back to the children. The children were delighted to see Thomas and Mr. Snowman. They cheered and cheered. And Thomas was very happy to have returned their frosty friend. Thomas's tricky tree. It was the winter holiday season. All the engines on the Thin Controller's railway were very busy. Skarloey was pulling trucks of holly and mistletoe from the woods. Mighty Mac was taking holidaymakers to the mountains. And Sir Handel was taking a special present to the wharf for the Fat Controller. It was the winter holiday tree. Thomas was very excited. The Fat Controller had chosen him to collect the tree from the wharf. He was to take it to the town square in time for the winter party. When Thomas arrived at the wharf, it was very busy. He looked for the tree, but he couldn't see it anywhere. Duncan puffed up. "Are you looking for something, Thomas?" he chuffed cheekily. "I'm looking for a Christmas tree," tooted Thomas. "Don't you know what a Christmas tree looks like?" laughed Duncan. He liked teasing the big engines. "It's tall and green and pointy." Thomas didn't think this was funny at all. Duncan called out to Peter Sam. "Peter Sam, Thomas needs our help. He doesn't know what a Christmas tree looks like." "Of course I do," huffed Thomas. He didn't like being teased by the small, cheeky engines. It made him cross. Later, Thomas met Sir Handel. "Thomas," Sir Handel began, "the Christmas tree is—" "Tall and green and pointy," chuffed Thomas. "Thank you, Sir Handel. I don't need your help." Sir Handel was puzzled, but Thomas had already wheeshed away. Thomas chuffed into a warehouse. Rusty was there. "Hello, Thomas," he honked happily. "Can I help?" "No, thank you, Rusty," Thomas tooted quickly. He looked around. He couldn't see the tree anywhere. Thomas was beginning to worry. Thomas chuffed into another warehouse. "Hello, Thomas," whistled Skarloey. "Can I help?" Thomas didn't want to be teased by another little engine. "No, thank you, Skarloey," he puffed. Then he saw it. A long, pointy load on a flatbed. It was covered in a tarpaulin. "I've found it," tooted Thomas excitedly. "The Fat Controller will be waiting for this tree." "What tree?" Skarloey whistled, but Thomas had wheeshed away. Thomas raced out of the warehouse, but he was puffing too fast. Then there was trouble. Thomas took the wrong track. He applied his brakes hard. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas. He heard the flatbed crash into the buffers, then splash into the canal. "Oh no, the Fat Controller's tree!" cried Thomas. "It's not a tree, Thomas," whistled Skarloey. "That's what I was trying to tell you. It's a load of pipes." Thomas's cheeks turned red. "Sir Handel delivered the tree this morning," Skarloey added. "So only he knows where it is," puffed Duncan. Thomas was a big engine, but he couldn't have felt smaller, and he couldn't have felt sillier. The quayside cranes lifted the pipes out of the water. Thomas was worried. It was getting later and later. Thomas knew there was only one engine that could help him, and that was Sir Handel. He chuffed quickly away. Thomas had to find him and ask where the tree was before it was too late. Thomas's boiler bubbled and his axles ached as he raced towards the transfer yards. He thought Sir Handel would be there. And Thomas was right. Sir Handel was there. "I've been a very silly engine," Thomas wheezed. "I didn't want to listen to you. I thought I knew better than the little engines, but I don't." Sir Handel listened carefully. "I need to find the tree," Thomas puffed, "and there's no time to lose." "Of course I'll help you," chuffed Sir Handel. "Follow me, Thomas." Thomas's smile stretched from buffer to buffer. Sir Handel was fast, but Thomas puffed quickly after him. The Fat Controller would be waiting. Thomas was coupled up to the tree. "Thank you, Sir Handel," chuffed Thomas. "Now I must hurry." "I'm sorry I teased you," whistled Duncan. Thomas smiled. "I'm sorry I didn't ask for your help," wheezed Thomas. And he raced away. That night, the Fat Controller switched on the tree lights. They looked wonderful. The children clapped and cheered. "I may be big, but I can still ask for help," tooted Thomas, and his smile was as bright as the lights. Oliver and Duck are Great Western engines. They deliver goods and passengers when the roads are closed by deep snow. Oliver thinks snow is messy and cold. "I'm a Great Western engine," he chuffed one day. "I shouldn't have to shiver." "Begging your pardon, Mr. Oliver," said Toad, "but I think snow is splendid." Harumph. Later, Oliver saw some children building a giant snowman for the winter festival. Each time Oliver passed by, the snowman grew bigger. And bigger. And bigger. And bigger. Just an observation, Mr. Oliver. Snow is magical. Pah! Finally, the snowman was complete. Oliver chuffed back to his warm, cosy shed. The Fat Controller was waiting for him. You have to return to the mountain village. Some goods are needed for the festival. But all this snow makes my wheels feel chilly. Really useful engines work hard, whatever the weather. Soon, Oliver was loaded and on his way. The snow was cold. It had frozen the points and diverted Oliver into the station sidings. "Oh, shiver my boiler," cried Oliver. His driver applied the brakes. "Is there a problem, Mr. Oliver?" "Yes! There is!" That could have been a little smoother. Oliver felt awful. He thought the children would be upset about their snowman. Oliver's driver went for help. The Fat Controller was just leaving his office when he got the call. Meow. "Duck will bring the breakdown crane first thing in the morning," he said. Oliver's driver returned and told him the news. "I'll be out here all night," moaned Oliver. "I'm afraid so." Luckily, the village inn had a toasty warm room for Oliver's driver. But Oliver was getting colder and colder. His fire had gone out and his funnel was covered in icicles. "I was right all along. There's nothing magical about snow." Ooh. Toad was beginning to think Oliver might be right. Brrr. Next morning, the children saw the situation. "Look," a little girl shouted. "Our snowman has eyes in its tummy." "No, it doesn't," laughed a little boy. "It's Oliver." That gave the children an idea. When Oliver woke up, he was surrounded by happy children. "Oliver's a wonderful snow engine," they cried. Oliver was so relieved that suddenly he didn't feel cold anymore. When Duck arrived with the breakdown crane, Oliver didn't want to leave. He was enjoying the winter festival so much. "You were right, Toad," Oliver called. "There are some magical things about snow." "Perhaps, Mr. Oliver," shivered Toad. Definitely. Winter was coming to the Island of Sodor. The morning ground was covered in crisp white frost. Thomas and Emily were happily chuffing up and down the line. Thomas was enjoying pulling Annie and Clarabelle. He thought he was doing a grand job. But Emily had other ideas. She thought he could be doing an even grander job. So Emily decided to help Thomas by telling him what he was doing wrong. When she saw him puffing down the branch line, she cried out, "Slow down, you are going too fast and bumping your passengers." Later, Emily saw Thomas by a bridge. He had stopped to take on water and was talking to some children. "Stop talking to the children," said Emily. "You are working and they will make you late." "I'm never late," said Thomas huffily. "There's always a first time," said Emily cheerfully, and she puffed away. Thomas was cross. He loved talking to children and thought Emily was being a big bossy buffers. Annie and Clarabelle agreed. "I am never going to listen to Emily ever again," said Thomas. "So there." The next morning, a sleepy Thomas had to leave Tidmouth's sheds bright and early. He was to collect some trucks from the quarry and take them to the docks. Later that morning, the Fat Controller arrived with a new weather report. "There is snow on the way. You must all have your snowplows fitted." "Excuse me, sir," said Emily, "but Thomas has already left for the quarry." "Then you must find Thomas and tell him Sir Topham wants him to wear his snowplow." So Emily puffed away to get her snowplow fitted. The workmen fixed Emily's snowplow on in no time at all, and she set off to find Thomas. Emily was very happy. She was looking forward to telling him what to do. Thomas was taking on water at Maithwaite Station. Emily puffed up in front of him. She blew her whistle, but Thomas didn't say hello. "She just wants to boss me again," grouched Thomas. "Thomas," she called, "you must go and get your snowplow fitted." Thomas could hear what Emily was saying, but pretended he couldn't. He thought he was being very clever. So Emily tooted even louder again. "You must go and get your snowplow fitted," she cried. "Bother snowplows," said Thomas, "and bother Emily anyway. The weather is perfectly fine." And he puffed away as fast as he could. Thomas delivered the trucks to the quarry, then set off to collect the cream from the dairy. Everything was going well. But soon the clear blue sky was eaten away by dark clouds. "They look like snow clouds to me," said his driver. And he was right. Soon big flakes of white snow began to fall. Then the snow gathered into drifts and covered the tracks. "Cinders and ashes!" cried Thomas as his wheels began to slip. Snow fell all over the island. Emily cut safely through the drifts with her snowplow. Thomas will be in trouble now. Emily was right. Thomas was working harder and harder, but he had to go more and more slowly. "We can't go on," said his driver. Thomas pulled to a slow, sad stop by a signal box. And his driver went for help. It snowed and snowed. Thomas felt very cold and twice as miserable. Then he heard the sound of an engine. Thomas was delighted until he saw who his rescuer was. It was Emily. "I told you to go and get your snowplow," she said. "Now look what has happened." Thomas was still cross. "You should say sorry for bossing me about." "I am sorry," said Emily. "Sorry you didn't listen to me." Emily and Thomas chuffed into Tidmouth's sheds. The Fat Controller was waiting. He did not look happy. "Emily, you must take Thomas to get his snowplow fitted at once," said the Fat Controller sternly. "You must learn to listen." Thomas felt bad. He didn't know it was the Fat Controller who wanted him to wear his snowplow. Emily felt bad too. She didn't like seeing Thomas in trouble. "I'm sorry, sir," said Emily. "I forgot to tell Thomas it was your idea." "You mean I have two engines that don't listen?" boomed the Fat Controller. "Well, I never. Emily, you must take Thomas to get his snowplow fitted at once." Soon the work was finished and Thomas was wearing his snowplough. "Thank you for owning up," said Thomas. "You are a very good friend." "That's all right," said Emily. "You're a good friend too, but next time if you want to stay out of trouble, just do what I say." Even Thomas had to laugh.